Welcome to
Whoa.
Red Zone Sports, the soaking
Hot
episode.
Okay. Friday night shenanigans. Welcome back.
We're not low.
Unbelievable.
What are we doing?
So
What
are
we
you
doing
ready?
again?
Are you ready?
Week 9.
Sure.
It's
Hot
gonna be
mic.
great.
Do this. Sure, let's fucking go.
All right.
Week 9 is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good games. We've got 12 games. Not quite a full slate, but almost. So yeah, I think it's got some good spots. There's some of the least entertaining games the entire year might be on this slate, but I'm looking at you, New England and Tennessee, and I'm looking at you, New Orleans and Carolina. But
Whoa, hold on that one. Hold on.
I didn't say not for fantasy purposes.
All right.
I think Vinny's
Right,
offended.
but like it's just going to be an absolute shit show. I know Vinny can't wait to play Joe's boy Carr this week, so he's just fucking chomping at the bit.
Playing Derek Carr.
Just ready to.
I'll play David Carr. Play them both.
David Carr's probably just
Don't
working on a short game.
I don't recommend it.
Seriously.
All right, we're going to get started?
Yeah. Quarterback.
Waiting on you, big dog up top. Where are you going?
Shit, it's me up top. All right. Well, it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the guy. Going against the Dolphins team that I'm not impressed with. I love that it says like opponent rank first against quarterbacks. It's like, no, guys, this is the Dolphins. I'm not worried. The Bills have a full arsenal of weapons for Josh Allen at this point. He's not turning the ball over. He's running clean offense. It's at home. Candy-ass uniforms in Buffalo aren't going to work. I think Josh Allen gets a 4-touchdown game this week.
Wow. All right. Coming out of the gates hot.
Yes,
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that because I kind of like that spot myself. But if we're staying up top here, man, I think you got to go back to him again this week in Jalen Hurts.
By the way, 5-leg prop parlay hit on all 4. 4 out of 5. The one I lost was Saquon touchdown, where Jalen Hurts fucking ran in 3 inside the 3-yard line.
Yeah, he
$5 to win $2.25. Come on.
He was a little selfish last week, but if you would have played him with Saquon, like I suggested, you'd have been just fine because you get everything at that point, right? So you're just splitting those points between 2 players. But again, I think that Hurts is a decent play this week. I think Jacksonville's really bad on defense, especially. I actually hope that Brian Thomas Jr. is healthy, so that way they just don't do anything outrageous and they can maybe keep the game close and you can kind of keep going back and forth with it. But I think that's the biggest issue with Hurts this week is if that happens. So we'll see. Vinny, who are you going to? You haven't said more than 3 words the whole time.
I'm just not interrupting. I don't know what to tell you. I like Jaden Daniels quite a bit up here in the spot. Divisional matchup. They get a putrid Giants defense that – what did Pittsburgh put up on them last week? Like, they absolutely just ripped them a new one. I think Washington full-on throttles the Giants here. Hopefully they can score a few and, like you said, similar to the Eagles game, like somewhat keep this thing close because nothing in the secondary for New York scares me here. No. I think Jaden Daniels has a pretty good game. So if I'm going up top, I like him as well. Just very clear stacking options, with Scary Terry. So that's where I'm going to lean.
I like that. I did have some interest. My up top split was either between Hurts or Jordan Love. I'm hoping he plays this week. If Jordan Love plays, I'm definitely going to take some stabs at him in that Green Bay Detroit game. It's at Green Bay, so it's outdoors. But I mean, I think that Detroit's run defense is pretty good, and the way you have to get them is through the pass. So if Jordan Love plays, I'm definitely going to be playing some of him because he's going to be 1% owned or less.
Yeah,
because the majority of people build their lineups tonight and tomorrow, and then a lot of people don't go back and swap a lot of things around.
Yeah.
So I'll be waiting to build probably the majority of my lineups until Sunday morning so I can get some more of that news. But he's a guy that I've definitely got some interest in up there.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I'm with you. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, and I'm right with you, but I'm on the other side of it. I need Jordan Love to play still, but if Jordan Love plays, I'm going with Jared Goff.
Okay.
Last week, he threw – look at these stats. This is incredible. He threw for 85 yards, 3 touchdowns, got 15.5 points.
85 yards.
85 yards.
That's how bad the Titans are, and they won 50 play. They scored 52 points last week.
Yeah, that was a wild game. No player. No, I can't say that. Cleve Raymond scored twice, but nobody else scored more than once, right? It was just spread
like everyone. Yeah, everyone had their own Indo touchdowns, and then even Montgomery threw a touchdown. So Goff should have had 4 touchdowns.
Crazy.
All
right. That's not.
But I just think Goff, when they do have to actually get into a game, and I think this is going to be a game in division in Lambeau if Love plays. This has a ton of shootout potential, and I love a Jared Goff when he has to throw the ball 35 plus times. He's looking really good this year. And then I picked him for my preseason MVP. And then I just heard John Gruden last week compare him to the way he's playing in the last 4 games is very Joe Montana-esque. So I'm all in on Jared Goff. I'm full send. We're going to the moon.
So the only thing real quick is is there some weather that we're expecting?
I'm pulling
because I think I just saw maybe that's tomorrow, 86% chance of precipitation.
Sunday has a 98% chance of rain at 50 degrees.
Okay. Rain doesn't bug me normally, but I don't think Goff's a very good outdoor quarterback to begin with. So just be careful of that, Joe. If the weather is crap.
Wind is going to be blowing from 16 to 22 miles an hour.
All right.
Jared Goff day.
All right. Something to keep in mind.
1% owned.
What if we go below Goff?
I'll be going to Caleb Williams this week. Alpha, very, very poor game. But if you look at the Bears this year, their wins and where they play well is against bad teams and bad defenses. And the Cardinals have a decent offense, but they don't have a very good defense whatsoever. It's pretty bad. There's not really any athletes on that team. They don't rush the passer very well. They play the run okay. And I think you kind of saw that in the Niners game a little bit. They're decent at playing the run, but I mean, at 6,100, I think, Caleb bounces back pretty good. He's got some pretty decent stacking options. I think that Rome matches up well against what they do. You could play him, honestly, just by himself. It's just, hey, good, Mr. Bing. Appreciate it, bro. It's just one of those things where I think it's just he fucked everybody last week. They thought that game was going to be some big shootout, and it wasn't. Yeah. I think this is where it happens in a really good game environment as well in Arizona. I'm going to take some stabs at Caleb Williams this week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Vinny, you going back to Bo Nix?
I have a little interest, but the guy I like the most in the mid-tier is Kirk Cousins. At home, we saw Dallas. They're really not a special defense at all. Deron Bland ruled out today. Micah Parsons ruled out today. I like the spot. Cousins at home. You can stack them a million ways. Bijan, you got London, you got Mooney. Pitts is even freaking rising from the dead and doing something. There's just a lot of ways to go here. So I'll have multiple Kirk Cousins stacks. Oh, bless you.
Yeah, right, he's throwing the ball minimum 30 times a game.
Are we going back to Mr. Bo here? We all called it last week.
He got 29.5 points, right?
Yeah, he absolutely smashed the slate. So,
yeah.
Jim, do you have any interest in going back to Mr. Bo Nix?
I want to see some ownership. If he's going to be what he's projected right now, which is 2 to 3%, then yes. But everything I listened to today and read the past few days, everyone is just all about his rushing upside and how they're going to have to be throwing the ball because they're behind a lot, which I think all those things are true. But if he's going to be pretty chalky, I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't hate it, though.
I don't hate it either.
Just because he has been playing well and his stacking options are still really, really cheap.
I mean,
Cortland Sutton's the most expensive one, right?
Someone else was also talking about it this week, and they're totally right. Like, you see Baltimore, and like that's the first thing you think of is Baltimore Ravens defense, and like their defense sucks.
No, Marlon Humphrey's out. On top of that, Patrick Queen's not really good. He's just a really fast linebacker. Like there's all-star players, the safety. What's his name? I'm dropping it right now.
Hamilton.
Yeah, he dropped the game-winning touchdown or interception last week. But no, that's their stud. Like, there's not really that much else on that defense.
Yeah. So
not really that much else on that defense.
I do have Bo Nix on my list. I will have some Bo Nix this week.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I would rather play Bo Nix over Jameis this week, just because I think the game environment is going to be more conducive. Not that I don't like Jameis. He's just playing the Chargers, and the Jim Harbaugh teams just like to just slog it out.
They want to run it 9,000 times.
Yeah, they just shorten the game so much right now. You can certainly make the point that, from the converse, and I'm going down to the low, I actually have some interest in Herbert this week, because the path to beating the Chargers, is just stacking against the run and saying, hey, we're going to make Herbert and Ladd McConkey and maybe Quentin Johnston
this week.
I mean, I think that helps that offense quite a bit. But I actually have some interest in playing. Herbert is he's $100 more than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's pretty
guys. Listen to these stats too by Herbert. He's thrown in his last 3 games 32 attempts, 39 attempts, 34 attempts. They're starting to air it out a bit because teams are putting 8 people in the box. If Ladd McConkey, we talk about this all the time in fantasy. Like, you got to find that team that the ball's not going to get spread around. It's not getting spread around. The ball's going to Ladd McConkey like 8+ times, no matter what. And I think it's a great week to just go Herbert McConkey.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a super cheap stack. Last week he got the 24 points.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That cheap. I mean, Herbert last year was like 7K. Like, pretty consistently. It's high 6s. Like, that's what he is. They're just throttled back. But I'm with you with Quentin Johnson coming back. I think that helps a lot.
Well, and even with, a bad game from Herbert, like at 5,300, even if he gets 16, you're still getting almost 3x. Like, that's not killing you. As opposed to
we play Bo Nix and we play Jameis last week, and it's in Daniel Jones occasionally. It's like, if they can just be like somewhat okay, the price per dollar, I'll take it.
Yeah, the guy who are you guys? I'll give you somebody who's way overowned, apparently. Quarterback.
I mean, I'll just do it. Like, I'll just say it. I'll be quick on it. Like, I'm definitely gonna play Derek Carr. Like, you got Chris Olave.
I am too.
You've got Kamara against this putrid, pathetic of a defense in Carolina.
They're really bad.
I mean, we played Bo Nix. Yeah, Bo Nix is like played good, but like we played him because he was playing the Panthers, and he absolutely dominated them. So like, I'm not saying Carr's some world beater, but the same conversation at 5,600. Like, dude, if he can get me 20, like, I'm juiced. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play it. I'm going to keep attacking Carolina.
You're just going to see post-injury Derek Carr, gun-shy Derek Carr this week. So I'm not saying you won't get stats, but you're going to see it.
It's hard to trust your analysis on Carr.
Quick dump-offs. I've watched a lot of them.
You're a tad biased.
Yeah. All right. Well, who's your cheap guy then, Joe?
I liked Herbert. Herbert was your guy. I looked at Daniel Jones because I'm not a fan of Redskins defense. But I can't play Daniel Jones after watching him last week. I can't.
Don't do it.
It's honestly so, like, I don't know why I did this.
Every time he takes a snap,
I watched the all 22 of that game. He's not very good, but his line is really, really like he's got literally no time to throw. The only time he's able to make like this deep plays to Malik is like when he can like avoid a sack and then like get to an open spot and then throw the ball.
The problem is I think like Dayball's even starting to lose like complete patience with him. But like, he's so many airhead mistakes. Like he's gone at the end of the year.
But it's not just him. Like if you watch that Giants game, there's like constant procedure plays. Guys are lining up wrong. They're having illegal shifts. Like I seriously thought that Dayball was going to have a freaking Coach K and like have a artery burst or something like that in his neck. Like he was getting like he almost got to that point. So, but
Daniel Jones still sucks, but okay.
Well, he is the quarterback carrying the most ownership right now.
Then I'll fade it. Like I really will, and I'm gonna play
I'm fading that shit.
Who are the Giants? They're playing. I'm gonna play so much Commanders defense then.
Slated to be estimated 15 to 18% owned. It's like he's going to be He's going to be the highest owned quarterback by like 10%.
That is serial killer type stuff.
It's
an easy fade.
How much?
It's just so weird because there's other guys down there that are comparable. That what are we talking about here?
Yeah, my only thing against Jameis this week, as much as I want to play him, like you saw it last week, he's either throwing a touchdown or throwing a pick, and now we're getting a shortened game most likely, where he's going to have less possessions. That doesn't work well for Jameis. That guy needs more volume for him to be able to produce. If he doesn't have the volume, like there's a chance he just throws 3 picks.
Well, here's the other thing too, is that like you watch some of the
try to go deep every play.
Well, that's the problem. Is there's literally like I think last week I counted 3 just dropped interceptions. Like it's flat out why the guys
like the corners
because they can't catch, right? Or maybe they're just so surprised that like holy shit, this guy actually fucking threw it there. Like
exactly. That's more likely.
I don't know, but yeah, like the game pace is just going to be slowed down so much. I mean, I would rather just go to Nick Chubb, and that's the exposure I get to the Browns this week. Like, I'm not even really that interested in Njoku because they've got Derwin James and they have like a really good like linebacking core. Like, it's just going to be like Nick Chubb and then Herbert and McConkey for me, and then like that's it with that game.
All right.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, we got a million running backs to talk about, and there's a lot.
Do we though?
Well, Derrick Henry is about to be the first 1,000-yard rusher in like the first quarter of this game, which is insane.
Also, am I mistaken, Jim? Derrick Henry's coming in at like 2% ownership.
Yeah, I mean Saquon Barkley are between 3 and 4%.
So another reason why I like paying down at quarterback, but
100%.
Are you Henry's your guy up top, Joe?
Yeah, no, Henry is just nuking. Right, I don't even need him to get. We talked about it last week. Like, yeah, his volume's going to go down. Whatever. To be honest, I don't really care. Like, he's going to score a touchdown. Like, there's a really high chance he gets 100 yards. Like, he's a guaranteed like 22 points. I know he's 8. Well, you need 24 to get 3x, right? So if he gives you a 24, 25 point game, solid. Right, his ceiling might not be as high as we might hope it be, but his floor is probably the highest on the entire slate. So like just plug him in.
Yeah.
And he can get you a lot of upside as well, obviously, if he gets all the goal line touchdowns. Lamar hasn't practiced all week. He's fine, but he just like, I'm beat up. Like I'm resting. Because he's running the fuck out of the ball. There's a good chance this week Lamar does not run the ball very much. He doesn't take the ball on the goal line. It's just Derrick Henry on the goal line every single time. Because Lamar has taken the whole week off of practice because he's just banged up.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry might get a lot of play this week.
I like that.
All right.
If they're both coming in at that low of ownership, I'll definitely take shots on both of those guys up top.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, the guy I like up here, it sucks because he's obviously going to get the most ownership, I think, but it's going to be Kyron. Like, the dude is just.
Oh, no, not even close.
What?
Not even close.
So people are going cheap.
So is he coming in like 5% too?
No, he's in like the 10 to 15% range, but Kamara is going to be 30 plus.
Jeez Louise. So I like Kyron quite a bit, man. Like the guy just is an absolute animal with the ball in his hands. And like they use him so much, even with Puka back last week and like Cup healthy, like he was still so active and a huge part of that offense. So
yeah, for sure.
I just like Kyron a lot. He's never going to get scripted out, which is like what you kind of worry about sometimes with Henry and Saquon up there, you know.
Yeah, I'll probably be about even to the field with Kyron if he's going to be, 10 to 13% owned. I'll probably have 15% of them, but I'm going right back to Saquon. I get that, Hurts can vulture and took 3 last week. Okay, he's not going to get fucking 3 tush pushes again this week. And the biggest reason why going back to him is because he's only going to be 2-3% owned.
Yeah,
and because Jacksonville is one of the bottom 5 teams in the league in giving up explosive run plays. So if there's a guy you don't want to do that against, it's Saquon, because they may not get very close to the end zone very much because he's just going to be running him in from 20 to 30 out. Yeah. So I will go back to Saquon. I think just overall, and kind of the theme you'll hear from me on running backs is I'm going to be paying up for running back this week.
I will.
There's no reason to kind of guess at some of these cheap value guys when you really don't need to, when you can get value at quarterback and receiver this week. So yeah, it's going to be mostly a pay up for me. Going down a little bit. Vinny, I know you said earlier you like Ken Walker. Big fan of him this week.
I do, man. It's anytime like he's not going to be mega chalk. Like the guy just has the ability to absolutely smash. And DK got ruled out again at home. Yep. Like I have to think Seattle's not dumb enough just to let Geno throw 55 times. Like get Ken Walker going. Every time they do, they were
that dumb last week.
What's that?
Yeah. They were that dumb last week. Ken Walker.
I know. I don't get it. How do you as a coach go into like halftime and you're like, someone isn't like, hey, Ken Walker has 4 touches or something. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like get the guy.
He had 9 carries for 12 yards last week.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. But I do like Walker. I mean, dude, I'll be honest. I like all these guys up here. Like pretty much everyone. I can make a case for Gibbs. Like, I don't know who you're talking about.
That's not the guy.
Bijan. Cook is up here. I like all these guys.
Give me James Cook again. Yeah. I'm going right back to him. He is the main reason why I was in the green last week.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely fucking smashed at 1%.
Yeah.
And again, Vinny coming in 2% owned.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I don't get it.
It's very easy if you do go, and I know it sounds bad again, but it's cheap, is like play the Derek Carr Olave, stack, and then like if you want to play Kamara, you can, or just get off him and pay up for these guys. Pay up for, play Cook and like Kyron instead of Kamara, right? Just to get.
I mean, you can make lineups with Henry and Barkley, and they're not gross.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I'm with you. I'm definitely like the majority of my lineups are going to have 2 of these guys, probably from like Cook and above or A-Chain and above. But
I feel that.
I think Gibbs you can make a case for, like especially again if Love plays, like that's my favorite bring back, in the game. Yeah. So all these guys, man, you can make a case for, and that's my suggestion. I'm right there with you this week. I'm gonna have very little like cheap running backs here.
Yeah, Joe, who you liking from this like 6,800 to like 7,800 range or 7,600 range?
No, you guys pretty much talked about everyone in there. I'm just gonna drop down $100. I'm going right back to Devin A-Chain.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing we talked about last week. He doesn't need a massive volume. He had 10 carries for 97 yards and like 4 catches for 50 and a touchdown. And he got like 28 points. Like, he doesn't need volume, right? Nope. The quality is just so high. And this Bills defense doesn't scare me. And like we said, Miami has everyone back. So they can't concentrate on the run. They got to concentrate on the outside. And these huge running lanes are going to be there for A-Chain. He's going to break at least one off this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone down here that we do like? I mean, DeAndre Swift, but I think he's going to be pretty chalky, right?
Yeah, 20+% owned.
Yeah,
no thanks.
That's pretty tough to do.
I would much rather just keep going down.
Tracy.
Yeah, I mean,
he's definitely the lead back there now. Trust me. He tried to play Singletary a little bit. Singletary is now the backup.
He's the guy, but I like him and Chubb down there. I just think that they're going to try and slow that game down a little bit.
How much is Chubb?
He's only 5,800, and he's coming in, and he's going to be like less than 4%.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't really understand that, right? And the Browns are clearly trying to win games. So if they're trying to win games, I just don't think that they're going to let Jameis sit back there and throw it 45 times. Like he's getting a little more work last week.
He had 16 carries last week. Like
yeah, so look, if he gets 18 this week, anything down by the goal line, like they're going to give him the ball. They're not going to pull Bears and give it to an offensive lineman. So, yeah, that's who I'm going for.
Joe, do you have any interest in Alexander Madison?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing from that offense ever, except for Bowers.
I don't have anybody else really down here, to be honest. No one that I'm going to be leaning into.
I mean, I think Madison is perfectly fine, Joe. I know that like you have again a bias against him, but like I don't have bias
against him. I have bias against Luke Getsy.
Okay.
Madison's
Madison consistently gets the volume.
Oh, they said it today or yesterday that Madison will remain the team's starting running back.
Yeah, so he's going to get like 80% of the carries.
14 carries for 15 yards last week.
Yeah, that's not great.
Not a great average, I don't think. It wasn't major, but
he also had 5 catches, so like he had 10 points last week. Like, and then the week before he's got 23 carries. Right?
I'm still for the most part paying up outside of a few of these guys. So
I mean, I just have interest in Madison because the Bengals are just not very good on defense. I mean, just flat out. They're not.
Yeah. They're just not very good overall.
And I mean, Antonio Pierce is coaching for his life right now. I mean, he shouldn't get another year anyway because the guy's a fucking boob for a head coach. But I mean, he's an unserious head coach in the NFL. So
make the Raiders great again.
Yeah, step one, Antonio, get the fuck out.
It's got to be super exciting every year to have like the offseason draft to look forward to and a coaching search.
No, I was telling someone this the other day. It's the wave of a Raider. The wave of a Raider fan is essentially like you go into the season with a little bit of hope, and you're like, hey, you start making things up in your mind that like there's actually some hope here and they're good. And they show out for like a game or two in the first like 4 games, and then they just are putrid. And you're all the way back in the dumps. You've given up all hope. And then like this season, then you're just fighting for a draft pick. Then off season comes and you're excited. And all of a sudden the hope is back. And then you fuck up the draft and you get sad again. You bought someone in free agency. You like pick up an Antonio Brown and he just fucks up everything. And then the season starts again.
Devontae Adams.
There's just a wheel.
See ya.
It's just a wheel of being a Raider fan, dude. It's fucking brutal.
Would you call it the wheel of suck?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm not playing any other running backs down here.
I already clicked over to wide receiver.
All right. Let's do this thing.
I need a moment. You guys go first.
In terms of like my favorites up here, dude. First off, I don't know if I can play Lamb or Chase. That price tag. I'm just giving you Saquon or Henry all day with that 85, 8,800,
Yeah, I mean, the problem for CD is that it's just stupid volume, right? They're just going to keep doing what they did against the 49ers, right? Like, it's just ridiculous volume that they're going to throw at him. I would rather play CD than Jamar, I think. I think if Jamar is going to get there, he's got to do it in like the first half because I think they could beat the shit out of the Raiders. Their defense just isn't very good, so that gives me some more interest in Jamar. But I'm with you. If I'm deciding between the running back or a high wide receiver, I'm probably going to lean with Saquon or Derrick Henry this week.
Yeah.
But I think I probably have the most interest in AJ Brown, but Jamar is very, very close just because of like he has legitimate ability to score 40 points this week against the Raiders, who I mean they're bringing pit bosses out of the Flamingo to play corner for him. I mean they're just like who's out there,
It's terrible.
I love it.
We're gonna get some ice.
All right, Joe probably needs some more time here. Yeah, I'm with you. I think
my head while I was underwater. Right there.
Just crop dusted your life and then walked away. It's just like, I'm gonna get a drink. I have a hard time paying up here for Lamb and Chase just because, like, dude, there are guys down here. If he plays like Puka or London,
I don't know
or
if Puka's
Olave
going to
with
play.
Lamb. No, but I'm saying like this was just my argument against like having to pay up for Lamb. It's like you know what I mean? Like, I think these other guys can like get there for 2K less, you know,
For
in
sure.
Puka's case, 2,600. Like, you could play Puka and like two of these big running backs, no problem. But it's tough to get Lamb in there, you know.
Oh, dude, and Puka's fine, dude. He hit his knee on the ground. He's got a bone bruise.
That
He's
guy's
fine.
so good. He hadn't practiced in like a month.
So he left.
And he just like came in and dominated.
But look, he left practice on Thursday and then did not practice at all today. So
he might just be one of those guys that just like is questionable every week.
McVay said I wouldn't bet against Nakua playing.
Okay, so we know to trust the opposite of McVay. So he's like for sure playing, and he's going to dominate. So this is the same guy who said like, yeah, I don't know if he's going to get his normal snap share today, and they just fed him on drive one. It was like, okay. Like,
well, the thing with the Rams players is if they're healthy, they're going to play their star players because they have an owner that just spent not too many years ago about $3 billion building a stadium, and he's got people paying out the ass. Season ticket holders. I know this game is in Seattle, right? But they are not in the business of just like packing it in.
Oh, the Rams are going to try to win for sure.
If their studs are healthy, they're going to get them the ball. And like, you know, it's just not all teams do it that way, but like the Rams absolutely do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you there.
I like Puka. I like Cup too up here, but yeah, I mean up top, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Obviously, I like Daniels, so I like McLaren, but. Yeah, I like those guys more than they.
I love Scary Terry this week.
Yes.
Like the volume's there. Jaden trusts him. He had 8 targets last week.
Yeah.
Like I said, Jaden throws a great deep ball and McLaurin runs one of the best deep routes in the game. Like it's a great combination. And McLaurin got 20 points last week and he didn't even get in the end zone. So if we're expecting just even a little bit of volume out of Washington this week, there's a chance Scary Terry, he's gonna have a game where he just nukes and he's gonna get the ball like every single play.
Well, there's a
chance this week.
He's kind of like, you know, pricing wise, he's a little bit more expensive, but he's kind of like Amari Cooper has been in the past few years this year. Like you just know that they're gonna give him 10 to 13 targets a game, right? And like his floor is so tremendously high that like Joey said, like he didn't even get in the end zone. He had fucking 20 points this week, right? So like, you know, an 8 for 90 and a touchdown is you know, mid-20s, and you know you're almost over his projected ceiling at that point. So yeah, I'm with you, Joe, on Scary Terry. I think that's a good one.
This 6K range is fire too.
Like, everyone's going to London and Olave. In the 6Ks.
I like DJ Moore a lot this week.
I like DJ Moore to pair with my Caleb stacks. I like Jaden Reed a lot.
Jaden Reed for
this week
if Love
versus
plays
Detroit.
Right? Because Malik Willis doesn't throw the ball.
Yeah, no, that's a gimmick.
I think that it's not going to matter for me because Malik Willis doesn't throw the ball far down the field. And in the games that Malik Willis played, Jaden Reed actually didn't do too bad. So they are going to have to throw the ball versus Detroit because Detroit's run defense is really good. So I think irregardless, I have interest in Reed. Joe, who's your guy in the 6Ks here?
If he's a full go, I mean, I might be interested in Deontay Johnson with the Ravens.
That's an interesting call. I haven't heard.
I feel like honestly, it's one of those. I feel like what the Ravens have been doing this year, like Derrick Henry and now Deontay Johnson, they really are kind of perfect fits for what they want to run. Deontay Johnson is a run after catch monster. He's a great route runner. He's going to get open underneath, easy little throws for Lamar. Remember, these linebackers are always up in the box on Lamar. They're always on watch, spying him. receivers can run over the middle of the field and nuke. And this is where Deontay Johnson absolutely goes nuts. Again, I don't know because of like, where's the rapport? They haven't practiced this week together. Lamar hasn't practiced, right? But like, it seems like he's healthy and he's going to be full go for this game. And like, they didn't just trade him for like nothing. Like, he's going to start. He's going to be on the field 80% of the time.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about him. I like that.
I just feel like it's a good fit. Like the trade made so much sense that I feel like I want to get him in there.
Yeah. I also like Mooney down here. You talked about London being like pretty big chalk. Like he's a really good pivot in my opinion. Like I said, I'm gonna have some Kirk stacks without London, like Kirk, Mooney, and Pitts, or
Mooney's
Kirk,
the man, dude.
Mooney and Bijan. You know,
that's the one I like more, Vinny. Is the Mooney and Bijan? I think it's gonna be. So they're going up against Dallas, who has the second worst ranked run defense in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you on Mooney. I think it's going to be a Mooney type game. And I'm going right back to my guy, my stack that was just very nice to me last week. Josh Allen, James Cook, Khalil Shakir. I mean, I told you guys that this was going to happen. Everyone last week.
I played him. Yeah.
The Amari Cooper situation, while Amari didn't do a bunch, is going to just open up the offense for everybody else because now you've got Cooper and Coleman on the outsides, and this is a game where I think Buffalo's going to win this game, but it's not going to be a blowout, and it's going to be, I say Buffalo wins by 8 with like a late surge from Miami. But I think it's another really good Shakir game, and I'm going to go right back to the same stack with Allen, Cook, and Shakir because the story I'm telling myself there is that Allen and Cook do the majority of the touchdown scoring, and Shakir is just a possession receiver guy. And if he catches a touchdown, fantastic. But he was less than 1% owned in all of my contests last week. Like he was 0.5% most places. And at 5,900, he went 13.5 2 weeks ago, 22 last week. No touchdowns, 9 catches for 107 yards. So, look, they didn't really need to keep, pounding him at the end of the game. That game was kind of out of hand already. I think he goes for a similar number this week, so I'm all in on Shakir.
Yeah, and their best defensive player, Jalen Ramsey, is going to be on the outside, guarding Coleman and guarding Cooper kind of back and forth. He's not going to follow.
I mean, he got kind of cooked last week by Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's just be honest.
But he's still fucking legit, right? And I'm not saying he's Joe Revis in the 3-year run there. But he's still fucking legit.
But he's still pretty good. Yes, I get it.
And look, Shakir is not going to have to face him once.
No. And I mean, you got Coleman, who's a rookie, who, as a Florida State fan, I'll tell you firsthand, is not great against press coverage, which Jalen Ramsey likes to play. Amari Cooper, also not the best against press coverage, and Miami plays that a lot, right? So, like, those guys could have a quieter game. If you want to go back to Kincaid, I'm fine with that this week. But those are the guys I'm more interested in that range. Going down here to this, like, 5,700.
Yeah, we talked about him, Lad McConkey, right? We don't have to get into it, but we already talked about him. I think he's a smash play this week.
Yeah. He's going to get some ownership, but I don't think anyone's going to play him with Herbert. So if you play those two guys together, you'll really dilute that total ownership because, like, again, like, I think he's going to score some touchdowns this week. So, like, I don't get the negative correlation of him being higher owned and then Herbert not being owned at all. So I get the people are just saying, if we'll just take the points if Lad gets there. But if everyone thinks that Lad gets there, right, and you don't have Herbert, well, then you're just going along with the ride with everybody else, or you're going to have to, go way overweight on him. Or you could just play him with Herbert, which a lot of people just will not do, right? Because there's this negative stigma about that offense. So, again,
I think the only way
you got to play him.
I think the only way you can get away with it, though, is like, if you do some of the builds we were talking about, right? Like if you're going double barrel high running back, like no one's going to have Saquon and, James.
That's what I'm saying.
So if you do that, then like fire Lad up in all those lineups because you're.
Oh good. Yeah, I mean Lad is the one guy where he's going to be like 17 to 20% owned. I don't really care this week. I know I'm going to be different enough other places. Balls. Yeah, you don't have to just fade the chalk everywhere. right?
No.
You got to play it where it makes sense. And like, that's a stand this week where I think it makes sense as to where, like, Jalen Waddle at 17%, no thanks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I also think, going back to Joe's call with the Detroit game, I think Romeo Doubs, again, he's more of a if Love plays kind of guy, because his really the sweet spot is that, like, 8 to like 15 to 20 yards down the field range for Jordan Love. So if Love's in, I've definitely got some interest there. What about going down cheap? Who are you guys going after?
I'm looking down here cheap.
I'm going to go back to Cedric Tillman, right? Like, I know we're not playing Jameis and everything, but
I think he's fine to play.
He's a really explosive player. He's cheap. He's obviously turning very quickly into what, Jameis will just kind of take YOLO shots to him. And at 4,300, again, doesn't take much at all, to pay off that price tag. So I'll go back to him.
I like that. Joe, who are you going to in this, like, high 4s to like mid 3s range?
The interesting one I keep looking at is Kayshon Boutte. And I think there's a lot of that, like, Booty.
It's Booty, Vinny. Okay.
It's Booty, dude. It's Booty.
All right.
He's on the field like 70% of the time now. He's getting all the play. I do hope Drake May plays. If Drake May does play, which he might, he just has to get the independent neurologist to approve him. He practiced limited 3 times.
Well, Tracy played on Monday night, and he's fucking magically cleared somehow.
No, exactly. So if Drake May's going, I really like Booty. Right, he's getting, like, he had 6 targets last week, 3 catches for 46. But you got to remember, May went down early in that game, and Bootie's on the field the entire game, damn near. And Tennessee is horrific. Like, they're approaching Panthers and Raiders territory.
Yeah, they're really bad. I mean, when he's on the field too, he's not lining up in the slot. He's the deep ball guy, right? So out of his 235 snaps this year, 207 of them have come at wide, not at the slot. So, last week was definitely his high. Last week wasn't even his high number of passing snaps played. He only played 33 last week, 40 the week before, 35 the week before that, and 25 in week 5, which is when he kind of started to come on a little bit. This guy was a great talent in college at LSU. He kicked ass on those LSU teams, and everyone thought that he was going to be a really good pro prospect. He transferred into LSU, I believe, from Clemson. So he kind of, shuffled around a little bit. Not the tallest guy in the world, not the fastest guy in the world, but I think that he can develop into a pretty good option for them, Joe. So I'm with you. Like, if May plays, I think he's an interesting guy, especially in like a larger field single entry where, like, there's not going to be a lot of like 1% or like 2% plays down here this week because all the value at wide receivers kind of congregated. So I think the Booty is a good stab at 3,700.
Yeah, and look, 3rd straight game, Booty led the Patriots in snaps for the wide receivers, right? Like, he's getting the most snaps out of all the wide receivers right now. They obviously like him. He's starting to kind of come into his own and potentially being that dude that was supposed to be a 1st-round pick going into his last year at LSU. So the talent's there. We just got to see if it comes together. He's getting play time. So, and I like May, dude. May's playing really well when he's out there. He's throwing it. So what about your guy, Khalif? Are you going back to him? Probably. With Jameson Williams out, they script things up for him too. Like, he's their drag receiver, right? Like, when everyone goes deep, like, he's the one dragging underneath. When, like, the linebackers all go to Amon-Ra, like, he's over on the other side. He's also the returner, as we saw last week. He took like a punt back, right? So, like, he's on the field a lot. And when Jameson Williams, and of course that's like a lot of luck, but the week before we saw it, he caught a touchdown. He caught a touchdown this week. With Jameson Williams out, the dude is on the field. He's their fast guy. So
for sure,
I like going back to him. I'm not gonna have a ton of him, but definitely gonna have a few, at least 10%.
I think you also got to continue playing Jalen Coker down here. Coker. I know it's dirty and gross, but like, the dude had 6 targets last week. They got no one else.
If he if he stays in the ownership range he's in right now, I'll play a little bit of Jalen Coker. Soon as he gets over, he's at like 6 to 7% right now.
That's
as soon
fine.
as he gets over 10%, like I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I just go play Parker Washington for 3,600?
Right? Yeah, I
Right?
guess that's kind of dependent on Brian Thomas, right? If Thomas misses, then
I mean,
then
is it? I
Washington
mean, Gabe Davis's shoulder's fucked. I mean, and then outside of that,
Davis
like,
sucks, dude.
talk
He's
about
really
a guy
bad.
that I had such high hopes for that
That
just
guy
kind of
is so bad.
He
he
went from the
kind of
boomer. He went from the boomer bust guy to just the bust guy.
he's kind of going the Zeke route with his physique. It looks like he's just making more trips to Taco Bell than a lot of other guys out there. I'm one to talk, I know. I mean, but like, come on, like you can see it.
You're not an NFL wide receiver.
Love Coker fan here.
I mean, look,
Lattimore is out. That's right. Lattimore is out for the Saints.
Memphis Piss Boy. Love Coker. Saints have 0 DDs. Okay.
What a name.
Amazing name. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Memphis.
I mean, I would much rather play Coker than Jake fucking Bobo. Okay. Like, so I'll find the like $200 to go play Coker. That's for sure. Any other randoms down here that we didn't really talk about?
No, that's about it for me.
Tight end.
Yeah.
You had someone.
I mean, look, I don't want to say he got there last week.
Doesn't sound good.
I mean, it's Noah Brown, right? Like he got there in the last second. So like, we're not going to talk about like that's the reason for playing him. But like he's like
his game.
Yeah, like he got there last week. With the random.
He got there more than Franklin did. It took the last play, but yeah.
Anyway, so tight end. I don't know how the highest price tight end on the board isn't 20+% owned.
First off, do we have any major chalk at tight end?
No.
Okay.
What we have one, and I for the life of me, I have no idea why. It's Grant Calcaterra. You want to talk about a guy who's out there running routes but does absolutely jack fucking shit? It's him. He had 2 catches for 49 yards last week, and one of them was for 48 yards. Okay. And it was like in random, like the game was out of hand already. So
I'm
this
already
guy does nothing.
I'm already worried to play the Eagles offense because I'm worried like Saquon's going to lose touches.
And then
I'm not playing this guy. Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Okay.
Right. Like, I would rather go play Chiga Conquo for 3,000 than Grant Calcaterra. I mean, that's just that. I mean, not just a little owned, Vinny, 17 to 20% owned.
Yeah, that's insane. I will have 0 shares of him.
The Seahawks don't have a tight end this week.
Good point.
Well, they've got that. I was going to mention him when we went back down here, Joe.
AJ Barner.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's put up some numbers even with a fan. Okay.
I would rather play him than Calcaterra.
For sure, dude. AJ Barner is a play. 2,600.
I'm telling you, I did. You blew the lead on that one, right?
Sorry,
just like prom night.
Wiping from the back. Memphis is back. He thinks Ingram will be massively owned if Brian Thomas Jr. is out.
Shut up.
I mean, maybe. He's 1% owned right now. I mean, I think that Ingram's even a fine play if Brian Thomas is in. I mean, if you're telling me that on Sunday I open this thing up and it says Ingram's going to be between 1 to 3% owned, like I'm playing a fuckload of Ingram, right? Yeah. Like Philadelphia's defense, especially their secondary, is nothing special. So anything under 10% for Ingram, I think, is an easy play. I just don't see a lot of people going to it this week because he's a little bit more expensive, and there's a lot of expensive wide receivers, and there's a lot of expensive running backs, and people want to play the expensive quarterbacks. Okay, so you can't pay up at every single position. So $5,300 for a tight end relatively is not super expensive, but this week it actually is, right? And that's why I kind of think that, like I let off with, like, Brock Bowers should probably be closer to $6,000. Yeah. Or he is $6,000, excuse me. Should be closer to like 20% owned, but he's going to be like 8 to 9%. Right? Like he is like he's on pace to break the rookie tight end receiving record by like long margins. Like this guy is a fucking dude. Okay, so like you go back and watch that Hard Knocks and the one with the Giants, and he asks, I forget who Dayball asked in the SEC, but he's like, who are the guys, two guys in the SEC that are just like problems? And he's like, the first guy he said was Bowers. Bowers is a fucking problem. Okay, it's Bowers and Neighbors. Those guys are the fucking problems. Like in this draft class this year, and he was like, "Really, a tight end?" And he's like, "Yes."
He was talking to Saban.
Yeah,
he was like Saban when you play like the SEC. Like, who's the guys you feared the most? And he was like, Bowers kept us up at night. Like, how do we stop this guy?
Yeah. So I think that you got to do whatever you can to play Bowers this week. He's been getting there consistently, and he has not had a monster game yet. The Bengals just do not have a very good defense. Okay. So, like, if you're not going to play any other Raiders, which I don't blame you if you don't want to play Madison, like Joey hates his guts, like, just please play Brock Bowers this week.
All right.
I mean, he only had 10 points last week. He's going to bounce back. Trust me. He's going to be 20 plus this week.
All right. Bold call early. Joe, any tight ends that tickle your fancy in here? Any range?
Kincaid. I mentioned in Kincaid. Last week, Miami just got absolutely torched by their tight end, by McBride. McBride's good, but McBride went off. He had 11 targets, and the way the Cardinals are playing this offense this year is they're taking what they give them, right? That's why everyone keeps giving Kyler shit for not peppering Marvin. But he's just like, no, my job's not to pepper Marvin. My job's to get to the guy, that's open. And they're running a very balanced offense right now. And obviously, Miami can't cover tight ends if that's the case, because McBride had 11 targets last week and he had like 130 yards.
Jesus.
Kincaid is just as talented. So I can see Kincaid just nuking against Miami. They obviously can't cover tight ends, or they have no willingness to.
Yeah, nice. I talked about it earlier. I've got some interest in Kincaid. Vinny, who's your guy in this range?
I mean, we keep touching and like tippy-toeing around it. I would love for him to play, but I think it's kind of independent of it, because Malik Willis will also still be able to complete balls to the tight end, but Tucker Kraft down here still too cheap. It gets a piece of that Green Bay and Detroit game. We've seen really big games out of him, and again, for what is he, 4,600, I think just an interesting late game spot that I think a guy could put up 15 to 20.
Okay. I personally am not there this week, but I get the argument.
Barner's a really sharp call though with Fant out though, dude. At that price tag, like
with DK being out, like
that opens a lot.
I mean, I think the Barner's going to have a good enough game where, like, in one of my leagues where I had Fant starting at tight end, I dropped Fant and picked up Barner to start him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like he fit, like Joey said, he's getting work even with Fant in there. Like he's a guy that they think they're pretty high on, I think. So I don't have a whole lot in the mid range. I'm certainly not playing fucking Calcaterra. I think that if T. Higgins sits, I have some interest in Mike Gesicki.
T. Higgins is definitely not playing.
Oh yeah. So like. Well, he's like, if you go back and watch the game film, like he's legitimately running the T. Higgins routes.
Yeah.
Right. Like most of the inside like routes, they're flexing him out a little bit at like a tight split, and he's running the T. Higgins route tree.
Yeah. Right? I played Yoshivas last week, hoping that that would work, and watching the game, like it was Gesicki who they just slid over and basically he's better.
I faded Yoshivas and went all to Tillman just because Yoshivas, as soon as Higgins was out, was going to be like 28% owned or something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you guys have anybody else in this range?
No.
Theo Johnson?
No.
The only way not Theo Johnson, but I'll have just like anything, Juwan Johnson a little bit if I'm playing some Saints stacks with my car. Zach Ertz has been freaking revival of his career with Washington. He's double-digit points the last 3 games, but that's about it. I'm just playing those guys in stacks.
What about your guy Taysom Hill?
I know, man. So it's funny you bring that up if I am not going to be playing like any Saints in a lineup, like he might be an interesting play because you talked
Just
about
like
the
a
chalk.
one-off.
Well, with Olave and Kamara going to be like 30% owned, like this is a spot that Taysom usually runs 2 in and pisses the whole like industry off.
It's true.
This is why I brought it up.
Just throw him in one, like because
I hear you.
that price tag again, he has like 15 to 20 point upside.
It's true.
Yeah, he could definitely be. I mean, he doesn't need to get that much even at that price tag. Like, you need 15 from him and you're fucking dreaming.
Yeah.
Right? But he has these stupid fucking games. And to Joey's point, with Derek Carr coming in, not having the oblique, they could even run some fucking wildcat with him and stuff like that. Like, I'm definitely playing him just because when Kamara is super high owned like he is this week, he is the perpetual pisser in the Cheerios of big chalk weeks, right, for the Saints. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Taysom.
For sure.
Yeah, the cool part about it, he's 1% owned, so, like, who cares?
And then we'll be a Taysom Hill podcast. On to Cheap D.
I don't really have a cheap D, but I got 2 Ds that I'm playing this week. But you guys go for Ds first.
Hit me with your 2 because I am very small, like grouping the Ds I want to play too.
Yeah, so my first one is Eagles 3,100. It's just too cheap. They're averaging like 3 sacks a game. They're going against the Jacksonville offense that's not really impressive. Brian Thomas might not even be in. They just traded like their starting left tackle. Like they've just given up. Trevor Lawrence has fumbleitis. Like he'll be having a great game, and the next thing you know, he's just like dropping the ball for no reason.
Well, he
turn the ball over.
Well, he also has those Jameis-esque throws that you're just like, who the fuck did you just throw that to? Did your nose get in the way of like your eyes? Like, I mean, it's possible.
Totally. And I do feel like the Vic Fangio defense is actually starting to come to form. I'm not saying they're the best defense in the league, but the Eagles defense definitely looks a little bit better. That D line is nasty. So if they get it going, there's a chance they just absolutely shut down the Jags this week and get tons of sacks, potential turnovers, and a potential defensive touchdown. So Eagles are my number 1. And then my number 2 is the Chargers for the reasons we talked about earlier is just limited chances for Jameis is not good for Jameis. And I feel like he's going to take some shots and we might just get a multi-pick game here with not very many points scored.
Not the worst reasoning I've ever heard.
You just get the highest high of Jameis to the lowest low. And like we got the highest high of Jameis last week, and the pendulum's going to probably most likely swing all the way back. And look, I'm a huge Jameis guy, but this is just the reality of it.
All right. All right. Vinny, who are you going
describing like Jameis's like game style? Like one day you're gonna be telling your kids, like, dude, there was this quarterback that was so erratic. Like, gave motivational speeches.
Just did not give
you know what sound clip you need to get on here, Vinny, is the crowd legs one.
Oh, okay.
Or the effort right in the P. When he yells it.
I'll try to find that. Okay.
I'm
really with you on Philly. I like them a lot.
All right.
The Jaguars are just pathetic. And then again, I know I'm really big on the Atlanta thing. I think they score a lot of points this week, and I like their secondary. Like I do think Dak throws multiple picks here. With Bates out back there, like he's just absolutely smashing this year.
Bates, that was a really good signing for them.
They've got like actually
the Bengals defense sucks now.
What's that?
That's why the Bengals defense sucks now.
Yeah.
They let him walk.
So
I mean, look, he's a big part of that, right?
And like, dude, that locker room's got to be so uncomfortable in Dallas right now. Like, Dak throws a pick or two. That team just looks like it's ready to turn on itself. Like, I'm ready for the avalanche to fall. So, I like Atlanta.
So my 2 that I like the Eagles. I'm good with that. My 2 favorite ones are going to be the Packers at 2,700. Outdoor Goff just does some weird shit, right? And the Packers actually have a pretty good special teams unit for as far as returns wise.
Our defense has been good this year.
Yeah, defense has been pretty good. They've been very opportunistic, right? And then I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom with the New York Giants at 2,300. I don't know if people know this, but they lead the NFL in sacks as a team. So, like, the one thing that they can do is get after the quarterback, right? Now, I know that Daniels is a running quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I don't. His ribs are fucked up. Like, he's not looking to run first, right? Like, I think at 2,300, the Giants have just as good of a chance to get you 5 points as the Bengals at 3,700, right? And then I mean, I was originally only going to go up to the Packers at 2,700. Might play a little Eagles now. I'm not going to play the Chargers. Chargers are going to be like 10 to 12% owned. That's too much at defense for me. So I'll just go elsewhere.
Okay. All right. Joe, you want to take first crack here? Bold call and favorite stack.
Okay, so my bold call is going to be AJ Barner, 4X, meaning at least 10 points.
Okay.
I love how he's like so cheaply priced. I thought I first heard it.
That would be
whoa.
That would be great. 10 points out of a guy that's 2,600.
Hell yeah.
That's 4X.
Robbing a bank.
That's 4X, man. So AJ Barner is going to give us a 4X week and then some. Like, he can get us an 8X week. If he goes for 20, we're in business.
Yeah, I like that. Favorite
stacks is going to be Detroit and Green Bay. I'm going to just assume that Jordan Love is playing. I'm going to go just every possible combination of these two teams as I possibly can. I just don't see this being low scoring. I don't care what the weather is like. I feel like these teams are going to beat the hell out of each other, but in a way where they're scoring points. These offenses are humming. A lot of big plays happening and just a very emotional type of game. Packers have been talking shit this week, saying the Lions are disrespecting teams running up the score. Detroit doesn't give a shit. And again, it's in division in Lambeau. I think this game gets pretty contentious. So this is my favorite stackable game. Every combination possible.
All right. James, do you want to take it? Let me check.
Sure, I'll go with my favorite stack first. It's just going to be the Bills again. And there's several ways you can do it that I'm going to do it. You can do Allen, Cook, Shakir. You can do Allen, Cook, Kincaid. Allen, Kincaid. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can mix and match it. I'll probably mix and match it a few different ways. If you wanted to, because, Tua could turn the ball over. You could stack their defense with them and do like a James Cook, and Bills defense stack, right? They've got good run back options on the other side. So that's going to be my favorite spot to stack this week. God, bold call, huh? I'll just piggyback off my stack. I think that Shakir is going to go for 25 plus this week.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Didn't quite get there last week.
I'm going to lean Washington here. I think they absolutely just put a number on the Giants. Hopefully they can keep up. And with that, I think Jaden Daniels throws for 4 scores. 3 of them go to Scary Terry.
Just one thing that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do for a stack for Washington, Brian Robinson and Washington defense. If Robinson plays, he's going to be like 1 to 2% owned.
That's a good call, because that could very easily be the game path too.
100%, and like that's the run backs to play if you're playing Daniel Jones. I'm personally not playing Daniel Jones, but playing the defense in the same game against Daniel Jones, it's like one of those like DFS rules, like the betting rules, like you don't tease through 0 and all that shit. But like sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Right. And especially when you're playing against so many other people, you have to kind of get different. So if you do want to play the Daniel Jones stack in that game, Brian Robinson and the defense running back on the other side, I think makes a lot of sense that a lot of people will not do. So that's an interesting game for sure to look at, Ben.
I like it. That's it, boys.
Well, who's your bold call? Bold call.
I just said it. I said Daniel throws 4 touchdowns with that, and 3 of them go to Scary Terry.
Jesus. Well, we know what part of that stack you're playing.
Get some of those in the lineup.
All right. Probably going to have to now.
Did you reserve any rooms for college tomorrow or what?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Are you making a little run in the morning?
No, I just got that teaser going that I sent you guys earlier. Which if we're just okay, make the Raiders great again. Okay. If anyone wants to jump on, it's kind of a ridiculous teaser.
Follow Jim on his X machine.
Let me just give it out real quick here, Vinny. Give me a second. Oh shit! I thought something was outside. It's just my cat.
I don't think I'd say anything if there was someone out there. Let's keep it rolling live. Let's see what happens.
I mean, I'd fight him off with you guys on the line here. All right, let's get to the teaser. I got the old the pump gun in the other room. All right, 8-leg teaser, 6.5 points. It's Arkansas, Army, Iowa State, Arizona, Wildcats, Nebraska, Indiana, Navy, and Minnesota. Pays 10-1 on a 6.5 point teaser on my book.
All right.
See what it pays. If you're in a state that isn't so tyrannical when it comes to their online sports betting, like I'm in, that you guys have, other states, not you guys, but who have access to like 17 different books with like 430 different promotions every weekend. You could probably boost that up on like DK or like FanDuel to like, 14 or like 20-1 or something like that. And that's a pretty nice teaser. So, see if anyone wants to wet the beak a little bit.
Fire the cannons.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you make a border run and you decide to pop a few in there, let me know.
I gotta winterize my trailer tomorrow. Sorry.
No. All right. Whatever. Good luck on Sunday, boys. Be talking.
All right. Peace.
Later.